you know, that's the
Yeah.
good thing about, yeah, go
Yeah, I mean,
ahead.
well, I was gonna say that is what one of the best things about art is that it leaves it up in the subjective imagination of people
Mhm.
what they want to see, and also to project on what they need to project on because I don't know one of the things I was an art therapist for a while, and one of the things that we would always do is we would use art as a way to project what we are thinking about ourselves or what we're feeling about ourselves into something
Mhm.
tangible that we can reflect on. I mean, this is where self portraits, I think, are a phenomenal tool to use. I was one of the exercises we do, and I recommend this for all artists, particularly if they're like having trouble finding their voice, finding their confidence in art. Is we did 30 self portraits in 30 days, right? And you use different
Ooh.
styles, and some of it can be just like stick figures, some of it can be sketches, but you try and associate a different style with different parts of yourself and how you see yourself, right? And then
Mhm.
kind of gives you a snapshot out of all the different ways that you can perceive what you can be.
Exactly, yeah, and that's that's so beautiful. Um, and I learned a long time ago that I don't remember who told me, but a long time ago, I remember stressing about, coming into the art business and like, oh, I don't have any clients, I don't have this, I don't have that. And then I was so focused on selling the art, I couldn't like make the art, like I was having like an artist block. And I just remember freaking out and I'm like, why can't I make good art right now? And I just remember, it must have been my mom, but she said something along the lines of like, well, why does it have to be good right now? Like, why does the art have to be good? Like, if you're not feeling good today, why does the art have to be good today? Like, you can just, if you're just put an X on the paper, then that's just how you're feeling today. And but you've made just that much more progress to get through that artist block. Um, it's just weird.
Yeah.
Weird. It's weird
Well,
way to.
I mean, also like art as well. I mean, even the art that's like inspired by some of the worst emotions and some of the most desperate states of mind can produce some of the most long-lasting artworks. I mean, you look at the
Mhm.
works of Van Gogh, or if you ever seen the black paintings by Goya. He
I
had,
have actually.
yeah,
Yes.
I mean,
Mhm.
some of those
Mhm.
depicting, what those men were going through with their struggles with, I'm sure mental illness as well as life circumstances, the way they coped with like painting these things that, in their own way, though sometimes horrific, have a bold statement and a beautiful
Mhm.
message.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and the symbolism that you don't even realize is there, like either as the viewer or the artist, like you usually find things that are either personal to you, whether it be the artist meant to put it in there or not.
Right.
Um, a really good example of this is a lot of my abstract paintings, people will tell me that they find faces in them. They're like, oh, I see that smile in there. And it'll be like a yellow painting, evoking like happiness or
Yeah. Yeah.
pink or something. And I'm just like, I don't see it. Like, I don't see it. Where's the face? So it's just cool. It's cool when that happens. Like, did you mean to put that bird there? I'll just be like, yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
it's
I one time
amazing.
had
Uh-huh.
huh? Oh,
The-
sorry. One time I had donated an abstract piece to like an art auction, and I remember the security was like, which way does it go? Like, which is it supposed to hang, I guess, on the wall? And I was like, whichever way you want. And he was like, not having that answer. He was like, what do you mean? What do you mean? It's supposed, but your signature's on the bottom. I'm like, okay, but it can go any way, sir. And he was just the looking back at it, looking at me like,
Whatever's easiest for you. Like, like that's
yeah,
the answer everybody wants.
yeah, exactly. Whatever way you want it to be. Like, put it long ways, put it upwards, vertically, horizontally, doesn't matter. Because at that point, once you bought the painting, it's yours. So
Yeah.
mhm,
Well,
hang
I
it
mean,
whichever way you want.
Well, I mean, also, I think that's one of the awesome things about the human mind is that when we perceive things, like you were saying with the faces and the uncanny valley effect, our mind wants to project these patterns and these familiar
Hmm.
patterns that we know onto the things we see. So that's the awesome thing about abstract art is, the more you stare at it, particularly if it's in your own home, over time, the more different things that you'll associate with it and that you'll see
Hmm.
in it. So, inevitably you're getting layers and layers of meaning.
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. A few artists I've discussed this with, like, it's like is an abstract painting if it doesn't have like 50 layers of paint on it already. Because like it is layers. It's just layers of like, oh, I need more here. Or, and you know what I like to say when I quote unquote mess up in a painting that I'm working on, I just say, okay, well, this is part of the painting now. And I just kind of add on to it, you know, like this is it. This is okay. I'll just add some more yellow here, a little something, a little shadowing here. Okay, all set, good as new. Now this is the way the painting is going. So, I mean, it's just, it's so, going back to the abstract and realism thing, it's like being able to just take that brush and just fucking, am I allowed to curse? Like, um being it, rather than having to like sit down and intensely stare like and make sure this line goes here and this line goes there, like when you can just like freely throw it on there and be like, what do you see in it? And then people are like, oh well, I see something nice, let me buy that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I and a lot of it is just letting go too, even with realism and any type of art that you're making, just being able to let go and accept if you have made a quote unquote mistake in this
Mhm.
painting. You just roll with it, man. I mean, it's the only way to get through it. It's kind of like, it's kind of like in life too. It's just like, oh, I bumped in the road here, and there's only one way to get around it is to either paint over it or just keep rolling with it, because it's just going to be like the painting you see in your head, it's not going to be that anyway at the end of the day. Like it
Right.
never will
Right.
be. Like it might be, but it's not going to, it might be something similar to what you originally imagined, but like because like especially like when you're doing an original acrylic where you have no eraser, you just gotta, you just, if you accidentally pour all that black paint on it, then you got to somehow make it work by throwing in some other like colors to help shade or blend or something, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, I guess that's the thing about art as well, primarily with folks like you and me who are self-taught, is that those mistakes are crucial to us
Hmm.
developing how to do certain brushstrokes and how to learn how to do things a certain way. I mean, I have probably thrown out or repainted over at least a dozen canvases that I knew that I fucked up.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's so true too. Like, and oh my god, it's definitely trial and error when you're learning on your own. Oh man. The first thing I really had to remember is you don't need that much paint.
Yeah.
Yeah, overpouring is still like a thing I do all the time, because I'm just like, no, I'll need all of this. When really it's just just water. You need the water to spread the paint.
Yeah. Yeah, and, I had, so I was a culprit of that,
Hmm.
often for, like, 6 months straight. So whenever I had a, leftover acrylics, no matter what color, I would mix it in with a little bit of that, liquid latex, and I just had this really
Yeah.
big generic acrylic pour painting that it was just a canvas. Whenever I had extra color, I was like, "Well, looks like it's getting another pour on." And, like,
Just one more.
yeah, just one
This
more. And, like,
this
man,
surely won't hurt it.
and, like, after a few months, like, doing that every day, like, you start to see, like, the pile on the canvas grow higher and higher. Like, all right, I gotta actually start to do something with this now. I gotta get a
Yeah.
plan here.
Yes. Yeah. 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 And then eventually it's almost like if you careful, it's almost like they become like this, like what's the word I'm like, but almost like the color stops. spreading on the canvas because you had so many layers of paint already on the canvas.
Right.
Weird, weird stuff.
So let me ask you, what made you want to start get into actually painting? I mean, I know you said you had done like some, doodle sketches and that, but like, what inspired you to want to start taking seriously?
Oh man, I was working in my really cushy insurance job. Like, I mean, I went to school, got my degree for psych, and I was going to go to get my mental health counseling graduate degree. I got into school and everything, and very last minute, I turned it down because I couldn't stop thinking I will never have time to paint. Because when I got my undergrad, I had two jobs just to make it through, and the next step in life was my big job. It's like, yeah, I have an entry level shit, but stuff, but it's like, do I go to grad school, potentially get a job with potentially good pay for something I may or may not actually like? Because I'm not mad about my undergrad, or I'm not regretful of it. I'm glad I went to school and got my degree, but it wasn't an art degree.
Yeah.
The only reason I got a psychology degree was because I was told I would need something sustainable. Like, you need to do this and that to be successful, and art is not the answer. And in school I painted, but not as much as I had liked to. And when school was finally over, I was just kind of like, well, it was summertime, so I'm just like, let me just paint as much as I can before I actually have to get into the grad school stuff. And I couldn't shake this feeling that I would never have time to paint in grad school. You'll never have time to paint because you're already working two jobs during undergrad. You're going to have to do the exact same thing for grad school.
Right.
And I was like, that's not happening. Because if I'm going to be in debt, I want to be in debt not for student loans anymore, but for maybe art supplies or fees for shows, for vending. Like, I decided I wanted to put my money towards something I actually enjoyed and potentially make a happier life for myself, I guess, if you will. Maybe not necessarily financially be as secure as I would in a boring, sustainable insurance job, but also somebody told me, well, you can't have art as your main career. So now I'm just like, well, let me show you. Let me show you something different. Like, I just hated being told that I wouldn't get anywhere with my art.
Yeah.
They're like, they're just doodles, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, it's almost
Uh,
like people are trying to put you in a box with that sort of thing.
yeah.
They want your ambitions and your thought processes to conform to what their expectations are as opposed to what your expectations are.
Yeah. And, like, as time went on, in the beginning, it was especially rough because, like, a starving artist is a real term, for a specific reason. And, like, I just remember the struggle and trying to get my work out there in the beginning. Like, the hardest years were definitely like right when I decided, okay, I'm going to do art as a job in addition to my regular job. 'Cause
Yeah.
I'm still not there yet, quite where I can transition to it being my full career. But it's definitely possible. I don't know why anybody would ever, well, I guess unless they were jealous and didn't want to see somebody else succeed, but it doesn't matter. I just don't understand why you would tell somebody, you can't do this. You can't do that. You won't make any money doing that. You won't make any money doing paintings. I'm just like, just watch me.
Yeah, I think they call those folks haters.
Haters. Sounds about right.
Well,
For sure.
I feel like a lot of folks, primarily when it comes to like the generational shift, right?
Hmm.
Older folks trying to tell the younger generation what to expect, and a lot of times that comes from a place of realism and, at times even cynicism, because,
Yeah.
they weren't able to witness someone succeed at this firsthand. And a lot of times if something's outside of your experience, then, you just don't understand that it's possible to happen.
Hmm. Exactly. And when I realized that you can paint and listen to music and get exposure from doing what you like to do, I was like, hell yeah, sign me up. Like, I was
Yeah.
like, I'll take vacation days. That's what I have vacation for at my regular job, you know? So it was really just like deciding to focus on like the grind for art, if you will. It's just like you get yourself out there as much as possible, and hopefully the rest will fall into place. And I mean, sounds pretty cool, but it does kind of work that way, like it's like it's just like a nonstop hustle sometimes, it feels like, because it's like pumping out your best work, and then everyone's like, oh, can't wait to see what you do next. I'm like, oh, let me create another masterpiece.